Friday is definitely here as we get to close down on the week as well as prepare for those resolutions in terms of starting the new week, because next week is going to be full of activities that come into the aspect of labor as we talk all issues relating to labor laws in the country. As of the 1st of May, as it is World Labor Day, so everybody is going to be celebrating that day and definitely looking at how employers as well as employees can tend to create a good relationship. But talking about Friday is the fact that you and I also have an opportunity to keep on pushing for making sure that that resolution that was set for this week and was not met can actually be met on the next week. And welcome to it. This is the Camnet TV Breakfast Show on a Friday, where I'm also joined by my good brother in Joe Chavelo Simata. I'm your host, Nelson Zula, and we get to roll on just like that on a Friday, because Friday is always a Friday. Right?
Friday is here. Junior weekend.
That's Joe, not my words. Please.
Junior weekend, yeah, it is
Please,
a junior weekend.
That's Joe.
We're happy to be here. We're heading into a weekend, of course. We'll be working. In as much as we are working, we'll be moving around to make sure that we gather, collect news, so that come Monday, we'll be able to know what to give to our dear viewers out there. And our topic of discussion today, before we get into the health corner, Nelson, is of course, how accessible are government officials?
Definitely. I think that's a good question, and we put it to our viewers out there, wherever they're watching us from. How are they able to access these government officials, starting just from councillor level?
What councillor?
Yes, to a member of parliament, minister. How
The mayor, council chairperson?
All these are very critical government officials that need to be accessed by the citizens in terms of ensuring that one or two things is actually ironed out in communities. So it is
The
interesting.
DC?
Exactly, district commissioner.
Can somebody from Lusaka tell us if they know where the district commissioner's office is located?
Yeah, but that's a conversation that we'll be delving into. And one thing also, Joe, talking about the weekend is that on 28th of April is KK Day.
Oh yeah.
And falls on a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So,
and we hear the president will be traveling to, is it northern province, to Lubwa mission? Yeah. Reports are suggesting that he'll be going there. That's where KK was raised and do.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he'll be that side. But 28th KK Day.
Yes, and it's going to be an interesting one. But I don't know from your end. I know you've seen more days than I have.
Of course.
What was your experience? What are you able to remember about this son of the soil that was the founding president of this country? Maybe we kickstart the show from that perspective.
Okay, though at least I came through in his later years when he was about to leave government. But I can remember vividly one of the phrases that he used to use, referring to the MMT, was these young men will bring total chaos. Yeah, but he was our founding father, of course, and he was the first president of Zambia. Under him, we had industries, thriving industries. There was what was known as nationalization, and of course, his famous handkerchief. We had the Zambia national football team, which was known as KK11, and we also have companies like the Kenneth Kaunda Foundation, which later changed to Nedcos, which later changed to Zambia Education Publishing House, now ZEF. So yeah, a lot happened under him. Companies like Zimco, Mindeco, Findeco, the famous Findeco. Yes, so a lot happened under KK. Remember, under KK, the University of Zambia was built using from all the 10 provinces. Then it was 9, including the National Assembly, and also State House was built. But a lot happened under KK, though we had a few graduates. There was free education. People would get an egg a day. People would get milk. People would get books. So yeah, a lot happened under KK. We miss him. There was what was known as welfare. which people
Hall
call
of Fame. I think it's one of the stories I found that for us then that would be one of my grandparents would say then for us, if you go to a Hall of Fame, you must be a very respected individual.
Yes.
And if you reach is it standard 2, standard 4, standard 5?
There was sub A.
Yes.
There were subs. I remember my father telling me all these stories, how they started. There was sub, I think from the sub A, sub B, something like that. Then they came to, before they came to the Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, which we are going back to starting next year. There was also standard A, like you are talking about. So yes, but those that were there, you can come through and let us know. We are fairly from the new generation, but full of old school. So you can come through and tell us how it was back then. And we could see that even in the initial stages of the MMD, days like Labor Day were days to celebrate. Workers were celebrated. They were awarded hard-working worker, outstanding worker. They were given prizes. They were given, for instance, I remember my father was given a bicycle, that ego bicycle. Yeah. So all those things used to happen, but in the later years, such things have phased out. I don't know whether it's lack of institutional memory. All those things have slowly phased out, and we had sports disciplines. Nelson, look, under KK. For 27 years that you ruled this country, we had there was no minor sport. You had horse rides. You had what do they call them? You can't call it Grand Prix here in Zambia, but we had motorbikes. We also had shot put. We also had javelin. Talk about all the sports disciplines, and guess what? There were books to document that. You get my point. But due to the coming of due to the years and the improvement in technology, but it doesn't mean that when you improve in technology, you become less of the country, and you lose your values and morals, and you lose your sports etiquette or prowess. So back in the day, we had books that documented that. All the sports disciplines, Nelson, and I'm talking this not from without, because books are there to support what I'm talking about. Books were written, and we had good authors, Zambian authors. Show me right now, which we do have Zambian authors, but that can write captivating books that you can stay glued to your book, to you.
We'll definitely talk into that. And before Joe starts sounding like a historian, people have always said we are here because of history, and it's very important for us to reflect on our past so that we get to make well-informed decisions as we delve into the future. And talking about making well-informed decisions, let's go into the health corner this morning as we get to look at the healthy tips that are coming through, so that we also get to make informed decisions when it comes to ensuring that our health is actually kept in check.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we have been looking at a very interesting topic, and it's a condition that affects women. So we are concluding our Women's Month, and so we've been talking about conditions that affect women this month. So this week we've been talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we say that polycystic ovarian syndrome is a condition where there is increased production of male hormones in the female body, and this results in irregular menses or not having menses at all. And most of the times these women would have cysts that form in the body or in the ovaries. And they might have other symptoms such as having hair loss and even having facial hairs on the face, mustache or a beard. So today we also discuss some of the causes, and we say that it's usually caused by insulin resistance, and this comes about because there's increased production of insulin in the body, because the body is not really using up the sugars that you are taking in, and so it tries to produce more insulin, and so because of the increased insulin that is being produced in the body not utilizing that insulin, it causes some irregularities in the way the body performs, and so you might have not producing enough hormones of the female nature and not producing hormones that help to regulate your menses. So usually it's treated in the hospital with some oral contraceptives and other medications as well that help to reduce the amount of male hormones in the body. And you need to also make sure that you're eating a healthy diet and staying healthy, and also exercising to lose weight and to just keep your body fit, because with exercise also the body is able to utilize your sugars and also reducing the amount of insulin that it produces. So today we'll talk about the complications of polycystic ovarian syndrome. What are the complications? If you have this condition, what are some of the things that you need to be on the lookout for, because they might cause certain problems in the body? So one of them is that you might experience infertility, and so you might have struggle or have difficulties trying to conceive. And so if you need help on trying to conceive, you can always go to the hospital, and you'll be guided on what to do and what medications to take to be able to regulate your menses and also conceive. The other thing is that because of the insulin resistance that people with polycystic ovarian syndrome would have, they are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And so they might have type 2 diabetes that develops because of the insulin resistance. They may also have gestational diabetes. This is where they have diabetes while they are pregnant. And usually also they might have what we call sleep apnea, because these are people who might be very obese, and so they might have difficulties trying to sleep, and when they are sleeping they usually wake up at night because they can't breathe very well, and so they have sleep apnea. The other thing that is of concern with people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome is that they might develop cancer of the endometrium, because they are not shedding out the blood that is collected in the endometrium. So you might have endometrial hyperplasia, where the endometrium starts producing more cells, and they develop cancer in the endometrium because they are not having their menses every month. And so the buildup in the endometrium or the uterus or the womb can cause cancer, which can be very detrimental for people who have this condition. So these are some of the conditions that can result from having polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's important that you get yourself checked. You also need to be going for regular checkups to reduce on these complications that can result from this condition. Make sure that you also eat healthy. Make sure that you're eating a healthy diet. Reduce on the amount of fat that you eat in your diet. Also eat more fruits, eat more vegetables, and also exercise. You need to exercise at least 3 to 5 times in a week, and at least get at least 30 minutes of exercise every day for at least 3 to 5 times in a week. And try to lose weight as well if you are overweight or obese. That is how you can be able to prevent some of these complications if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And even your children, whether they are still in their teenage years, you can also encourage them to adhere to some of these guidelines so that they might reduce on having these complications as well. So I do hope you have learned something, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya, and make sure that you also watch my YouTube channel where I post all these videos, and you'll be able to learn more about these conditions as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week. God bless.
So much gratitude to Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya, just right there, giving all the insights in terms of the tips that you need to know about a particular topic. And she was diving into that topic that I fully am aware that also you've picked one of the interesting factors that you can actually rely on in terms of if you've got a particular condition that was being discussed on. Let's get to move on, although I know that for a fact that those that were banking with Investors Bank that was declared insolvent must be smiling today, because they're beginning to get
their monies.
And the maximum should be about 500,000 kwacha. And just talking about the issue of money, let's get to look at the money market and see how the kwacha is performing against the major convertibles. For we know that for some time the debate has really been on the kwacha dollar relationship. But what is the rate as of today? There you have it on your screen. The United States dollar is buying at 26.11 way and selling at 26.63 way. The euro is buying at 27.94 way and selling at 28.49 way. The South African rand is buying at 1.37 way and selling at 1.40 way. The Great British pound is buying at 32.58 way rather, and selling at 33.23 way. And the match talk basically is going to be on the United States dollar, because we are seeing that the dollar is almost hitting 27. Yeah. Is this the time that we need to stay positive? Is this the time that we still need to keep our fingers crossed with hope that things are going to be better tomorrow and stabilize in terms of ensuring that we've got a stable currency that is able to compete favorably on the international market? Because these issues relating to money also trickle down to the cost of living that actually has been projected at 10,000 kwachas the month of April by JCTR, according to the latest updates that have been given, which indicate that there's an increase now from 9,800 plus as of the previous month to,
and that's for a family of 5.
For a family of 5 in Lusaka,
and how many can afford that?
It's about 10,000, and that's a good question, Joe. Especially that we're heading towards the Labor Day. How many are able to access that, given the fact that we still have people that are being paid below the minimum wage? We still have people that are getting about 500.
And who's monitoring who's being paid below the minimum wage?
Yeah, and in that case should be the Ministry of Labor.
Yeah, but we are aware also that last time when the Ministry of Labor and its officials made an impromptu visit to one of the industries in the industrial area right here in Lusaka, a call was given to the officials to abort the mission and leave the premises. It was in public domain, it was reported widely, and that story has died a natural death.
Basically, Joe, I think that is also one of the critical issues that has to be looked at, because to some extent it shouldn't only be about those that are in government, but we as a people also need to, because I've been to areas or companies where people don't even understand that they've got labor laws that have to be followed. They don't even understand that even them being as workers, they need to have a union within themselves that is going to channel out their concern.
But we even have institutions where government officials, some named government officials, are shareholders and chairpersons, and they do not even remit to NAPSA.
That's where it becomes a challenge, and now that's where the Ministry of Labour needs to be on top of its agenda.
Do we have weaker laws, Nelson?
Okay, in my perspective,
or we have weak people presiding over laws?
In my perspective, Joe, and I would like to mention that it's my opinion, right?
Yes.
As a country, we do have good laws, especially on paper. But I think what we lack most of the time is the aspect of implementation.
Implementation, okay.
And the question that always linger in my mind is, do we have, or is it that we do not have the capacity to implement the laws that we've made for ourselves that are going to govern us? Or it's just a matter of arrogancy or ignorance because we feel if this is not done, or if it's done, at the end of it, or we might find ourselves biting ourselves on that
But
field.
can I remind you something that you already know, and obviously our viewers out there? Let me remind you. When you're benefiting from when somebody is benefiting from corruption, you point it. You're going to point at it and say that's corruption. But if you are the beneficiary, you say it's favor, it's the grace of God. You know what I mean? You even go on Sunday and give a testimony, or on a Saturday. But at the end of the day, look, we're a country. Politicians have told us times that number that we're a young democracy. Come on, we're 60 years. We are old. We are 60 years old as a country. We can't be a young democracy. However, we need laws that can be able to speak to a current situation. If we already have laws, then why don't we see them being implemented? You get? Why don't we see them, these laws being implemented? For instance, I'll give you an example. We're talking about, right now we're talking about the Auditor General's report. From year ending 2026 to 2020, 2002, is it 2022?
2006 to about
2022?
Yeah, 2022. Something.
Okay. Are you telling me that in these same years we didn't have the Auditor General being produced? Are you telling me that?
Again, that's where the contention becomes in, because all these years we had a single Auditor General report being given out, but this one has been tagged the Special Auditor General.
Why should it? The question is,
maybe
why should it be special?
Maybe because it encompasses all those years. And
but you can do this, Nelson.
There was also, I think, a stance that was to be made in terms of understanding the country's external debt that it has, I think, locally, because the debate has been the country owes this much, and then others will say the country owes this much.
Then what happens then? We're not concerned with what criteria or methodology was used to point out individuals or institutions that inflated prices or whatever that happened. But at the end of the day, what are we seeking to achieve?
Maybe it might be the aspect of trying to clean up the conduit or trying to clean up the system. But in the cleaning up of the system, in my view, that's my perspective. I think we also need to be sincere in terms of the channel of how we are going to clean up the system. Because, for instance, one of the prominent local business person has emerged prominent in the report, right? But one question I'll ask is that also, after having refuted all these claims, is the fact that, look, before a payment is made by government, there are people that get to approve.
From government?
From government. Now, where these people are, have they also been cited in the report?
That's why I'm saying, look, this whole thing, it is good for the country, but then again, we have to look at individuals' reputation. The problem that we have is that we're a politically charged country, and we are so blinded by our loyalty to certain individuals, such that you can't use your objective lenses to look at matters critically and apply critical thinking. You get? You just look at matters on the surface, and then because of your allegiance to an individual, to a political party, you fail to analyze matters objectively. People have been cited. What happened, for instance, to the Auditor General's report from 2021 to 2023? Individuals, institutions were cited. What is happening to those individuals? Why should we go back all the way to 2026, to 2006, and begin to come back to 2022 and say, okay, fine, this happened, so let's look into it? It is a good thing to look into those matters, and people should be made accountable. But the bottom line is that, what do we intend to achieve at the end of the day? Are we looking to humiliate people, individuals, ruin their reputations in the public space? Because look, it exposes how weak our state institutions are, and we can't run away from that. Look, if I'm a businessman, you come to me and tell me that, okay, supply such and such to us, yeah? Then I tell you that I got quotations, and these are the prices. You go with them minus doing your due diligence. Then at the end of the day, you want to blame me. I'm a businessman. Mine is to make profit. Okay? We take it a bit further. This country, well, you're talking about KK, right? When the MMD came, they started privatizing assets, national assets. We were told that our assets were undervalued. When they were being sold, they were undervalued. Yeah? Fast forward, we're being told contracts were being given to individuals that overpriced or inflated prices. You get? So it's the same thing playing differently, played by different individuals, but it's the same thing. So now my question now still stands. What do we intend to achieve from this? Is the money that these individuals or companies might have misappropriated going to pay our debt, going to grow our economy?
I think that's a good question that can also be put out to our viewers there as we jump into the zooming headline segment. And one of the interesting stories is a story that we get to look at from Mongu just after hosting the prestigious Akuomboka ceremony. And I was disappointed that, Joe, you didn't take pride in putting out that traditional outfit because you are claiming that on that particular day you forgot, and I was looking forward to seeing you on a Monday. But I don't know what happened. So I was like, okay, he has not apologized to the senior ones, to the
Barroso establishment.
So maybe he's afraid that he might be penalized if he puts on that dress. But aside from that, let's get to look at the story where some marketeers at Kaule Market in Madanga area of Mongu have been receiving messages from the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, CEEC, demanding them to pay back the loan which they have not received. Okay? Kanyanga Watana disclosed that since March, they've been receiving messages from CEC threatening them to be visited by the law if they fail to pay back the purported loans. Meanwhile, the Commission's Public Relations and Communications Manager, Mijelo Mogata, confirmed the matter, saying those receiving messages are already in the system and is urging those affected to visit their office to formalize the problem.
Anomalies.
Let's get to look at that story. And in case you are joining us, this is the Camnet TV Breakfast Show on a Friday, and we'll be glad to hear from you as we get to look at the topic: how easy or how difficult is it for you in your area to access government officials and ensure that those grievances that you have are actually heard out? Let's get to be interactive. The phone lines are open. You too can give us a comment as well on our Facebook platform as well as on our YouTube platform, and we'll be glad to hear from you. But right about now, let's get to look at that story from Mongu, and we'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet.
The government of the Republic of Zambia initially came up with a market booster loan to empower its citizens to grow their businesses. And this initially has not gone well with its residents in Mongu, Mandanga area. Some marketeers in Mandanga area have been receiving messages from the Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, CEC, demanding them to pay back the loan which they have not received. Speaking to Camnet News in Mungu District, Kanyanga Watana narrates the story.
Intokula ntelu komaksize ba sisi na wake bata kwani kwa na skuli ka fera mina baba beleka mama market muswanira kufumanira kwa benefit kwa maloni ana ka fera so luna ka fera na mama market ne ko ne ko photocopy marriage aluna ma phone aluna ka fera ku fa ne ba zama sa ka mama market ina ofese ku ba fa ba sisi ka zo kan fa machine mwa 1 week mwa kweli na ye ku ka fera match ukale kwa mwa message akulu lipe machine au sazivi machine ne ba hanes good ne sio parist au kuswana kona taba yaona yo so bata balusu sema system au batuko na message yangu ata.
Other concerned marketeers have this to say.
Kwanu kwa Mandanga za marketeer boosters kono mashere nyaruska abona luko mukakuli lusenjingelwa ma message kuba CEEC kuli lukutse mashere nyaruska inga prosi aba lufefera mali eba uzwize kufita kuli balwa peleze kuli famaloni eluska inga kapaluto amuhiwalika zebaso na kweza benefit bana baluna siba kensa masholi baba izimwa ma office abauzwa mashere nyuma mabizo ababamu efya kolukaya hauna kufumana kwa teni support kapa loni baka bloka twale tebe ko netse kuli ndobira ila fa kuli baluta lime luna unakulumya kwezi wacho abachire mashere nyuma baziba abala telele baske bate una batu baska fumana mashere
isetankala tiembekeza tindrama zizabwera na lelo sinazione ndrama hizo kuchoka hapo manje tipoya titapo kucha titambo lanjira manje ma message yakuti bwezani ndrama zamene munakongola loni jamene munatenga bwezani ndrama ningi so please tipempako ngati ndrama hizo zinabwera banaja bamene bakulukuluko basi bwezi basatifakemo stiviziba isi.
And when reached for a comment, CEC Public Relations and Communication Manager Michel Mkata had this to say.
Can be supported. Like in this case, those same marketeers that are complaining that they do not receive anything, this would be an opportunity to support them if people own up to their loan obligations. So we have an open door policy. We're encouraging whoever feels we have erroneously sent them a message, they can just come to any of our offices or call any of the numbers, and we try to rectify this issue.
Sebo Kavira, Camnet News in Mungu District of Western Province.
Okay, it is a lovely good morning to Mr. Kingsley H.W. Majila from Mazabuka, the Swedish town. It's good to know that you are with us this morning, sir. We do appreciate your association with Camnet TV Breakfast as we urge you to rise and thrive this Friday morning. It is the day before the weekend. Now, that was the story coming from Western Province, Barotseland in particular, Mandanga to be specific. Now, the question that we want to ask, Nelson, those individuals, you told me to interpret, so I'm interpreting. According to those individuals in that particular clip, they are saying, individuals from the Economic Citizen Empowerment Commission came through the market. They were registering individuals, marketeers to be specific, traders. They were taking down their names, and they told them that within a week, monies will be given to you. Funds will be credited to your account. However, that did not materialize, and instead of getting funds or the accounts being credited, what has started happening is that the commission is sending those same individuals that were purportedly not in the system messages, text messages, urging them to pay back the monies that they got. Now the question is, if those names were registered, it simply means that, according to them, I'm translating, it simply means that monies were paid, released to be paid to them. However, they did not receive those monies, and they're suspecting that there could be somebody who has dipped their long fingers into monies that they were supposed to benefit from. That's according to them, and I'm putting it plainly. Nelson. So they are saying we don't want to do anything with whatever is happening. We don't want people to come and confiscate our merchandise, which is supposed to benefit our children and our families. What you need to do is that deal with those commission authorities, especially those that came to register our names here, Nelson. So that's the concern from the marketeers from Mandanga in Western Province.
Wow, I think it's a genuine concern. It's a genuine concern, really, because I mean, how do you receive a message if you didn't receive the money? In as much as there's also correspondence from the CEC Public Relations Manager in Miguel Mogata that those messages were erroneously sent.
No.
Look, I highly doubt.
Look, that's where I'm glad yesterday at Cabinet office there was a meeting held by the Presidential Delivery Unit for Public Relations practitioners in state-owned institutions and parastatals to evaluate how they have been working since the new Dawn administration came into power, which is very important. They need to be evaluated. That particular statement in itself doesn't hold any water. It's porous. Why am I saying it's porous? It's because, look, your people came through, registered, got details from these same traders, marketeers. They went away and they were told within a week you start receiving monies, right? Funds will be credited to your accounts. After a week, they begin to get messages telling them to say you need to pay back the money that you got. And you are saying those messages were erroneously sent. Let us not act or behave as if a computer operates on its own. There's always somebody behind a computer. Okay? And those messages, you can't tell me that those messages were sent through a computer. You type a text. I type a text right now, then I begin to send to individuals.
Obviously. And also, is that the names are already in the system. So meaning that maybe they've been lined up for them.
But how are the names
already in the system?
In the system minus them being given monies?
I think that's what the problem is. Or could it be that there's an evaluation that is actually being underway or being undertaken to ensure that before they give out the said loans, they get to look at who are these people that are applying for the loans?
Nelson, I beg to disagree. Look, that screening process should take place before you begin to send messages to people. You are alarming people. You are alarming people. Some have got BP, obviously. Some are single mothers. Some are single fathers that are taking care of these children. There's a lot. And I'll tell you, in Western Province, there's no economic activity. There's no economic activity. So if somebody says, I'm a marketeer, they depend on that particular shed where, that stand where they sell from. If it's their fish, if it's their tomatoes, that's their source of livelihood. There is no economic activity in Western Province. And now you're subjecting people to thinking that you're going to come and confiscate their property because they allegedly got money from the Citizens Economic Commission. Remember last time we asked a question to say, who is monitoring this situation? People are being given constituency development funds. Who is monitoring this situation? Who is managing this situation? The same thing with the Citizen Economic Empowerment. Who is monitoring this same process? If we are having such erroneous messages being sent to individuals, it underscores a sad point that the system, 1, is porous, 2, it can't be trusted, 3, it's not being managed well. And for that admission to come from the PRI himself that those messages were erroneously sent, how? You don't have a screening mechanism?
Well, that's a good question, and we would also like to get correspondence from you, our viewers, wherever you're watching us from, be it GoTV on channel 25, DSTV channel 274, as well as YouTube and Facebook. We'll be glad to hear from you in terms of what you think about that particular story, even as we get to look at the topic, how accessible are government officials in your area, because this is a concern that has actually been highlighted in the Freedom of Expression report. Let's get to pick this call. Good morning, you're through to Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Okay, we seem to have lost that call, Joe. And I was just indicating that there's this Fox report, of which I know you delve into, but let's get to conclude on my end in terms of the stories that we get to look at this morning. Okay. One of the interesting stories that we get to look at this morning is government has expressed concern that the high level of toxicity and political interference in the education system over the past decade. Speaking when he officiated at the Higher Education Authority engagement meeting with public universities, Minister of Education Douglas Siakalima emphasized the importance of universities being autonomous and free from political influence to operate efficiently. And one of the other stories also that is interesting is that the Opposition Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, has commended government for intensifying efforts in combating corruption, money laundering, and other illicit activities in the country. MMD acting spokesperson Brendel Philip uploaded law enforcement agencies, among them the Drug Enforcement Commission and the National Prosecution Authority, NPA, for being resolute in prosecuting and recovering assets obtained through illicit means. These are some of the two stories that we get to look at. But before we do that, let's get to pick this call. Good morning. Good morning. You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to? Please, your name and the area exactly in Lusaka. Okay. You may go ahead with your contribution.
Just reduce volume on your TV set.
Okay. This you are complaining about the case I'm sure that the camera numbers we have been received different things from the camera numbers. So my address in Lithium they shouldn't complain. If they don't know that, if they know that these are get any money from someone, they just have to be free, they don't have anything. Unless if they say that they are those they are the same numbers, they have to pay back the money.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the thing for that. But if the numbers are different, they don't have any care. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that contribution.
No, so maybe clarity. Our caller there is putting it in two to say maybe it's from the scammers. However, if it's the same number from CEC, it's confirmed it's the same number from CEC, they are not supposed to be worried. So he is on point. However, just clarity to our viewers out there that this number or the messages have been confirmed to be coming from CEC. It's confirmed, and the public relations manager there did confirm that they were sent by mistake or erroneously sent to these individuals that are not supposed to be in the system. However, their names were registered and they were sent these messages. Sad reality though.
Let's get to pick this call again. Good morning, you're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Tabuka febu inaishi ati banani netu mina kwisa?
Ninebo Prudence Chirufia.
Mkwai ba Prudence.
Netu mina kawa makabwe.
Mkwai.
Kawa makabwe kulishana?
Mkwai. Ndipo kwa Mungu akilisheko. Abana bandi batatu kuri utamlenga na shiriti mlenga na chuti mlenga. Bari batendera ma ena sinambazi. So bale wakilisha muyuti empowerment. So baishira toko bati ripira na masike kwacha na ya membership. So twaliripira nomba kuita kwa balanda tiyo bafudisha so twalapanga grupu imbi ino tende mwa bano.
Okay.
So nombo batwere kulya mashina baisala twala senda ko family apa tudesenda ko abantu n'abafudisha rolete ishabasi kwa tena tulipini.
Okay.
So nombo baishite tempe kwa kuleka mambo mwati abasenge pia bati kuyabe kushabala bali kunjanshi baisala ndokwe bajawe alimo abana beruta pale na buli mweshina anzeni mwana wa ndumi baticha bakubata mu boko bata iwo nali mwana pali list mwali sentence ya almost 50 kashina 100,000 kwa pala kuto nali kumoleshina dobe pakwanisha okugwesha mpieso ka government kono bakuti nali abapesinga balabenya mutwatwere kwa mashina kuti bakana no na kitashana bantu abana batapa wanangu mo watu wakwa ero bonke bakakukuru.
Okay,
no problem. To Allah send the number yenu kulaba ala mtumina kokino kukabwe and then kuti bashita assist.
No, okay, not okay.
Okay. I was about to ask her, in Kabwe, who was organizing this?
Obviously,
Manamlenga. Is she gone?
I think she is. But basically, I think
who was organizing this? This is why we're asking that how easy or difficult is it to access your counselor? Because first things first, you need a ward chairperson.
Yes.
Kukawa more commonly. You need a ward chairperson. Nibana na wale organize fiance. Ba ward chairperson no badi. Ba WDCs, Ward Development Committee. Emo badi. You get ba counselor. Emo badi. Muni for formulate organize. And nangwa bantu ababa ishide, the people that came. Bafumine kuisa.
Was there any government official that was able to be recognized?
To be recognized.
Well, let's get to pick this call. Good morning. You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's a good perspective, and I think our big man upstairs in Elijah Chifita is able to capture the number for that complaint from Banamlenga.
Banamlenga,
yes, in Cabo, so that basically maybe we can tend to follow up with one of our staffer in Cabo.
But
yes.
we will follow this story to the latter. But this is why we've brought this question, Nelson. Where are the councillors? Where are the chairmen? Where are the WDC's committee members? If, for instance, unscrupulous people come into your ward, they need to see you, the councillor, first of all,
yes,
before they begin to conduct whatever activities they need to conduct. You get, because you are the sheriff of that particular ward. They need to see you. And for Banamlenga, was the councillor there? Ekobadi wa councillor, number one. Number two, I'm a members of the WDC committee. Busheko Badi, who was involved in these activities? If those answers, if you don't have answers to those questions, go to the police, report these people. Because for me, I'm suspecting this is money laundering. You are also obtaining pecuniary advantage of individuals and suspecting members of the public, and also Nelson obtaining money by false pretenses. You get my point, because Banamlenga said one of the teachers to one of a child told the child to say, I saw your names on that list. You get? I saw the names on that list that you guys had received money. Are you going to manage to pay the 30,000 to government? So it's obvious your name has been registered there. People have gotten these monies, and when they begin to pursue people that benefited from those monies, Banamulenga's children will also be pursued to say mwalidi yako ndaramana mufira mwagwesh.
And I think those are also part of the cases that have been highlighted in the Auditor General report under CEC, where loans were given out and then about a lot of people failed to pay those loans. But hey,
but are we learning the lessons, Nelson? Look, if that's what I'm saying. It's even for me personally. It's even pointless to go back to 2006 to 2022 and begin to look for anomalies. You get? Begin to look for anomalies when we're not learning the lessons. The books are there, the reports are there, gathering dust on shelves. Why can't we go to these books, retrieve them from the shelves, begin to go through and correct the mistakes? The Auditor General's report is produced each and every year, Nelson. Why can't we say, since these are the loopholes, what mechanisms are we going to put in place to ensure that there's no pilferage of public funds, there's no misuse or misapplication of public funds? CDF, when it's being distributed or disbursed, when CDF monies are being disbursed, Nelson, people, intended individuals, this money goes to them, reaches them, and it's used for the intended purpose. Why can't we put mechanisms in place? I'm telling you, after 2026, we're still going to be singing about the same song. We've used the same measure, the same yardstick to fight corruption, times that number, but nothing is changing. Hence, we've resorted to go back to 2006 and begin to uncover cases. But we have the books, we have the reports. Why can't we learn from the past as we move forward? And this CDF, you've seen the results. There were concerns that came through to say, this is a lot of money. The councils have got no capacity to handle such colossal amounts of monies. And we saw, and we keep seeing what the Parliamentary Accounts Committee on Local Government, every time council secretaries are made to sit and explain how they applied these monies. Some councils are not even using these monies. Some councils have misapplied these monies. Some councils are using these monies to pay themselves allowances. They convene a meeting, they begin to pay themselves. So these are some of the concerns that the members of parliament, the councillors, the ward development committees, and the local government minister himself should be able to take seriously and begin to look at public funds, because we are all taxpayers and this is our money and we need to make sure that it's put to good use.
Definitely, Joe. And I didn't mention earlier that we're going to play two stories, one bordering on the aspect government raising concern of the high influence of politics in the running of higher learning institutions in the country, as well as a story on the MMD commending government for some of the strides that have been made in fighting corruption. But kudos also to our technician upstairs, Elijah Chifita, who's managed to actually give us the number for Wanamulenga, and I'm sure
it's there.
Yes, in a due course we'll be able to find out what exactly transpired and also bring it to the attention of those that are in the wheels of power. But for now, let's get to look at those two stories. We'll be back on the other end.
The Higher Education Authority have Thursday 25th April 2024 flagged off the two-day engagement meeting with public universities on their status, progress and challenges being faced. Speaking at the meeting, guest of honor Minister of Education Douglas Siakalima says the future of higher education in Zambia depends on the collective effort to transform these universities into dynamic, self-sustaining and competitive institutions through the promotion of research and innovation.
Of higher education in Zambia depends on our collective ability to transform our public universities into dynamic, self-sustaining and globally competitive institutions through the promotion of research and innovation. Universities can contribute to finding solutions to pressing national challenges such as healthcare, food security, environmental sustainability, and good governance.
The minister has also noted that for the past decade, learning institutions in the country have had too much toxicity around them. He says it is for this reason he has personally urged teachers to drop the notion that they are connected to someone. As trained professions, they are connected to their job and their learners.
I think in the last 10 years, there was too much toxicity in our institutions of learning, starting from early childhood up to university. Too much politics, and this is why I want all of us to feel fear of reading autonomous universities. We need politics in our school system. It ended in 2021. Any one of you will be promoted on merit. So there's no one who is going to have a job because you know somebody. You don't know anybody. I tell teachers wherever I go to say that there's nothing like I'm connected to somebody. You are connected to your job and to the people that you teach. It ends there.
Meanwhile, the new Director General at Higher Education Authority, Professor Kajila Chisembu, says public universities must stand tall against the current threats it is being faced with, such as social media, which is a double-edged sword that is making it difficult for universities to defend the truth.
Social threats is the abuse and misuse of social media platforms. Social media is complicating and demeaning the functional mission of the university. Our country is locked in a cutthroat cycle of divisive politics and poisonous propaganda. Social media is a double-edged sword for the public university. When you retreat, you give ammunition for them to attack and unleash their venom. When you engage with social media, sometimes you give it the liberty to scandalize empirical knowledge. It is difficult for the university to defend the truth in the face of social media abuse and political.
The meeting is being held under the theme, The Transformation of University Education in Zambia, with public universities such as the University of Zambia, Levi Mwanawasa, and Kwame Nkrumah University. Cherish Sibote. For Camnet News, Lusaka.
The fight against corruption in Zambia has of late been a topic that has raised concern, especially after it was revealed to the public how some high-profile cases, such as that of former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingolungu's case, was handled, with stakeholders and other notable organizations such as the Transparency International Zambia bemoaning the approach of feature-based convictions. Some sections of society, among them the Opposition Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, are of the view that the UPND administration is on the right trajectory in the fight against corruption, making reference to the recent forfeiture of $24 million by Milingolungu and the pronouncement by the National Prosecution Authority, NPA, that it has in the last 1 month recovered close to 800 million kwacha in forfeitures in high-profile cases. MMD acting spokesperson Brendel Philip has commended the UPND administration for its efforts in sustaining the fight against corruption in the country. Speaking at a media briefing in Osaka, Mr. Philip has applauded the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, and the National Prosecution Authority, NPA, for being resolute in the recovery of properties and assets obtained through illicit means.
Special commendation goes to institutions like the Drug Enforcement Commission and the National Prosecution Authority for being so resolute on prosecuting and recovering assets obtained through illicit means. Lady Justice is blind. Or should I say, Lady Justice is blindfolded. Even the ones high and mighty in our society are now facing the full wrath of the law. It is public knowledge that NPA has over the last 1 month recovered close to 800 million kwacha in forfeitures from high-profile cases, sending a clear message that crime should never be beneficial to criminals. Only when our governments strengthen the fight against corruption can we be assured of a safer, a more prosperous future for all? May I now conclude my address by thanking all the pressmen and women here present.
Meanwhile, Mr. Philip further revealed that MMD is on course on embarking on a party mobilization exercise across the country aimed at rebuilding the party.
Here to inform all of you that in the next few weeks, our party president, Dr. Neva Sekwila Mumba, will announce some of the most fundamental decisions that he has ever made together with his dedicated team. I must mention that I feel so profoundly honored to be given the task of preparing the nation for the upcoming announcement that is bound to change the very trajectory of Zambian politics. Let me be quick to clarify, however, that in no ways am I claiming to be John the Baptist, or that Dr. Nevas Mumba is the Lord. All that I'm endeavoring to state is that our missions are pretty similar. As you are aware, MMD is coming out of the battlefield. Our party has been on the receiving end of
Chanda Mwango for Camnet News in Osaka.
Those were some of the stories that were ushered in by one of our staff in Chanda Mwango on the MMD, actually commending government for intensifying efforts combating corruption, money laundering and other illicit activities in the country. But what was notable was the fact that Joe is looking at me while I'm smiling, is the fact that Mr. Brenda Philip there was actually trying to explain politics in line with the Bible. I'm like, ish, what's that now?
He brought in the aspect of John the Baptist that he's preparing the way for the upcoming message, but he's not suggesting that either him or Dr. Nevas Mumba is the Lord. But however, you know that the MMD right now is being headed by Dr. Nevas Mumba, and he is a clergyman. So you know how it is. If you're a clergyman, even those that come before you could be clergymen, and you could see that Mr. Philip Brenda Philip was speaking like a clergyman there. So,
but Joe, for me, it was a story done by Chelsea, but in terms of the concern that was noted by the Minister of Education, that politics is actually at the helm, especially in higher learning institutions. But I'm beginning to ask myself questions to say, really, if politics is at play in higher learning institutions, what are we doing about it? Because last week, or maybe the other week,
it's last week.
Yes, we saw students.
We saw students
from the University of Zambia.
From the University of Zambia, Evelyn Home College,
and other learning institutions.
Other learning institutions organized, flooded the court premises. You did that story, Nelson. Yes.
And
let me put you on the spotlight. You are on the ground. You did that particular story. No student was arrested for going to allegedly offer solidarity to their Students' Council chairperson, that young man who sued the former head of state. No student was arrested. Now, my question is, the Minister of Education, are you telling me that he's not aware of that case that took place, that incident that took place at the court premises? Are you telling me that that incident didn't reach his ears? He's not aware? Because I'm thinking, for him to say, to issue such a statement, which is now in public domain, that students or student unions or high institutions of learning should not be used as institutions for politics and all. Those students were there at the court premises. Why didn't we see the police swinging into action, arresting those students and saying, this is illegal, you're not supposed to be here, you're supposed to be in class, preparing for exams, preparing for your assignments, or undertaking your assignments. What are you doing here?
And what was disheartening was the fact that even a vehicle, a bus, labeled the University of Zambia, was just parked outside the court premises, and these students went on chanting "Father of corruption, not that."
So who authorized?
So really, that's a good question.
Are you telling me that the chancellor wasn't aware?
That's a good question, and also we need now to start reflecting on how institutions of learning should be regarded as such, so should be the case for other institutions. Because if we begin to put or be swayed by politics, I doubt it.
For me, my conclusion, my concluded conclusion on this particular story is that the minister is also playing politics.
How?
He's playing politics by acting as if he's not aware of that incident that took place at the court premises, that students were bundled up in a bus, in buses that were branded with their institution's names across the same buses, and then taken to the court premises.
Well, Joe, let's look at a story on the freedom of expression report. We did see Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Media, in Mr. Tabo Kawana, raise concern about falsehoods as well as the need to have debates that are going to ensure that if we are hosting someone here as Camnet TV from the opposition, then we also need to have someone from the ruling.
Do they come?
To ensure that we have that debate.
Do they come?
But on that report also, it is disclosed that, look, leaders or those in government or government officials precisely are not accessible to the people in terms of giving information, and in this case media practitioners.
And how many times is MISA going to release these reports urging government officials to be accessible? This is not the second report, Nelson. They did the same report in 2022, 2023. They did a survey.
Yes.
Amongst scribes, amongst reporters, journalists, media practitioners, to find out how accessible lawmakers, government officials in this particular administration, the UPND administration. And it was revealed that it's hard to access these ministers, these members of parliament, especially from the ruling UPND. And now we have the minister saying politics in higher learning institutions, right? If we reach out to him and tell him to say, we'd like to host you so that you come and speak to these issues, chances are he will tell us he's busy. He will tell us he's away. He will tell us he's committed. Or like today, we're supposed to host a member of parliament for the UPND. We were supposed to host him yesterday in the afternoon. What did he tell us? I'm rushing to State House, after admitting that he's coming. This morning, we received a text message. I'm going to State House.
Even when the
president is not there, so what are you going to do there? You see, that's another excuse. So it is true that this report is speaking the truth when it suggests that it is hard to access ministers, members of parliament, permanent secretaries, particularly in this administration from the UPND, to come and answer to some of these concerns that members of the public have, like Bana Mulenga from Kabwe, her concern. Her children were registered. We need a government official to come and answer to these. Like the traders in Mandanga of Western Province, in the Barotse Plains. We need a government official, local government minister, to come and sit here and begin to answer how are these monies being dispersed, or an official from the Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, Nelson. And I like what the PS said, that we need debates so that liars can be curtailed. We'll talk more when we come back. Let's go on this particular story.
The media in Zambia plays a pivotal role, aside from being a watchdog, to spurring development through various means. However, despite strides made to ensure the media operates in a conducive environment, the launched Freedom of Expression Fox report, focusing on July to December 2023 by MISA Zambia in collaboration with other organizations, shows that 73.7% of respondents confirm that the media operates freely in Zambia, while 26.3% felt otherwise. However, the report highlights persistent challenges regarding access to information, with 62% of journalists interviewed expressing difficulty in accessing information and 9% indicating that access to information especially for government officials, is very tough. As such, the Institute recommends the need to expedite the review of laws affecting the media in the country and the implementation of the Access to Information Law.
Protect the integrity of the media profession. Furthermore, I appeal to the government to expedite the process of reviewing and repealing existing laws that hinder our democracy. Let us enact laws that ensure that absolute enjoyment of media freedom, freedom of expression, and digital rights. In this regard, we wish to further commend the government for enacting the Access to Information Law in the period this report is reviewing.
I've said they're essential for analysis. They help civil society to take action. They help government players also to take action. And most importantly, for us as USAID Open Spaces, this helps us to continue the collaboration with the government, especially with the Ministry of Information.
Meanwhile, the government affirms its priority for the right to freedom of expression, anchored in the truth, while striving to realize the campaign promises.
Under the leadership of the UPND, citizens now enjoy these fundamental freedoms without fear of reprisals. That is why today we hear so much, because the freedom is there. You know that even when I express myself on radio, on television, or through a write-up on social media or whatever, no one will come and harass you, no one will come and beat you, no one will come and harangue you. You know that you are free. And that's the environment that this administration.
However, the Institute intends to introduce an advocacy tool to lobby for minimum wages and salaries for trained journalists in the country.
It is our belief that also with the raw salaries, the engagement we started last year with the government, so that we can have equally a minimum wage for any trained journalist. That will be our submission to the Minister of Finance. We'll copy Minister of Labor so that we can have decent salaries and wages as we execute our duties.
The consultant of the report, spanning from July to December 2023, shares the key findings.
However, even if 18.7% journalists felt harassed while on duty, we should not be too comfortable. We should at least reach 0% tolerance of harassment in any form. So Mr. Ales, as I said earlier on, recorded about 1 harassment each month.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Okay, fantastic. So that was a story that was carried by Nelson Zulu, seated right here with me. Now, Nelson, what came into from that particular story is that there is need for debate. When the opposition is speaking, the ruling government is also speaking. Now, I'm afraid that the only person who will be speaking on those debates is the PS, Information and Media. But that's the only person that seems to be proactive and ready to go for media interviews. It's even hard to get the minister of information, the chief government spokesperson, to come for an interview and begin to explain government policies, or begin to explain, for instance, why is President Hakainde Hichilema gone to Tanzania to go and do what? It's hard to bring a government official here and sit and begin to explain the benefits that Zambia will accrue from President Hakainde Hichilema visiting other countries or going to Tanzania to go and see his counterpart there. So it's a welcome move. However, it won't be implemented successfully because UPND in itself and its officials are hard to access. They do not come for interviews. They might pledge that they'll be coming. Last minute, they say they won't be able to come through. And also, one thing that I got from Mr. Kayanda Nelson, the MISA national coordinator, he talked about the minimum wage for scribes, journalists. Now, here's the thing. We know for a fact that government itself owes media houses money dating as far back as 2016. Yeah? We know that our government itself owes media houses money dating as far back as 2020. Remember the COVID adverts?
Yes.
One media institution was even taken to task for requesting that just pay us even 5%. 5%. Just pay us even 5% to air these adverts because we incur operational costs. That media house was closed down. It was opened post 2021. Now, if government is not willing to support media houses, especially private media-owned houses, Nelson, how are they going to come up with minimum wages for journalists? How are they going to operate effectively and be able to disseminate information to the public out there? We need, as media houses, government support. We need, as journalists, government support, so that we are able to execute our duties diligently. We are the mirror of society. Look, those that, let's say for instance, are politically affiliated, they'll always sing praises to their politicians and to their political parties, whether opposition, ruling, or whatever that is. However, us as journalists, we are independent and will be able to shine a light on things that they are not able to see or get from their supporters. So we need all the support that we can get. And I think I endorse what Mr. Kayanda was saying, Nelson, in that particular clip, talking about minimum wages for journalists. However, it's all dependent on government to give us adverts, to give us support.
Yes, and as we get to close, Joe, let's get to look at the weekend's fixture. Online here, weekend here,
I know Liverpool has been crying.
No. Let's not start from there. Let's not start from there. Our founding president told us to be very patriotic.
You've been walking alone?
No. Let's go to the ABSA Cup, okay? ABSA Cup. Let's start local. Local is Laka.
I can see Cabo Warriors.
Muza.
Taking on Muza. Yes, two of my favorite teams in Zambia. And I see this one to be a crack of a match. It's a match worth watching, and it's a mouth-watering match. I see Muza is in top flight. The Flying Dynamites, they're doing well. They've played continental football before. Also, the boys from Godfrey Ukachitalu, Cabo Central, Cabo Warriors, also they have the experience. They have performed well this season, and now they are facing Muza. I can only say, may the best team win, because my heart is torn into two. I love these teams for a fact that Muza is managed by one individual who has braved all odds. Zambian, indigenous Zambian, lawyer by profession, in the name of Keith Wemba.
Full-time, I'm a Zanaco fan.
The bankers?
The bankers, yes. We like people banking with us, but
fantastic.
Not us banking with them, you know what I mean, right? And then there's also a crack of a match between the Brave Nchanga Rangers as well as Red Arrows, as they get to crack down in the semi-final of the ABSA Cup 2024.
It's going to be a crack of a match, and for Brave Nchanga Rangers, they've proved their point. They've come a long way, and also the Airmen. On this one, I'm tempted to go. We saw their performance last time when they won. Is it 2-0? You saw their performance and how they came out, and how that display of football was at Nkoloma Stadium. You saw how they played in that particular match, and for them to reach the semi-finals, it means that yes, they are in it to win it, and they are serious with what they are doing. The Brave Nchanga Rangers, the only team coming from the Copper Belt. Okay, let's wait and see. But it's a game worth watching. Let's wait and see.
Let's go now to the English Premier League. I know your team and my team, they've also been struggling. You are battered 5-0 by Man City.
No, we by Arsenal.
Arsenal rather.
After winning 6. Now, here's the thing. We
won
Everton.
We were battered by Everton.
We won Everton 6-0. Then you lost, butchered terribly by Everton 2-0.
But that's a derby.
whether it's a derby, whether it's FA, whether it's you lost. Now, as we have admittedly so, we are having these challenges. We need a sharp number 9. We need a striker. Jackson has failed us. The boy seems to have vision problems. Each time he comes face to face with the goalkeeper, he loses it. I don't know whether he develops selective amnesia when he sees the goalkeeper. I'm not too sure about that. I don't even know why our coach keeps on maintaining this young lad. He needs to be benched to give way to other players. Manchester United won.
Yes, but let me get your predictions on tomorrow's games.
Okay.
Chelsea is facing Aston Villa at their home ground. Your prediction?
2-1 in favor of Chelsea.
Okay. Everton, Brentford?
Everton,
Brentford.
It can go either way.
Either way? And then we've got Wolves and Luton Town?
It can go either way.
Newcastle, Sheffield United?
Newcastle, Sheffield United, it can also go either way.
Burnley, Man U. I know my technician, our technician upstairs,
he's even laughing right now.
He's very much Man U.
Yeah, Man U is carrying the day, of course.
But this is the same Man U that had difficulties. You can imagine leading a game by 3-0 in the 72nd minute, and then in the 80th minute, you've given up all that 3-0 lead.
Yeah, I think they've learned their lessons. Football is all about learning your lessons, picking up your pieces, making use of the chances that you are given to. You deal with the card that you're dealt with. So at the end of the day, I think they've learned their lesson. You saw how they performed during the week. They managed to win. Wow, Liverpool and Chelsea lost terribly. Manchester City yesterday won as well. I think that match, Burnley and Manchester United rather, Manchester United is going to carry the day.
Yeah, Fulham is hosting Crystal Palace, while West Ham is hosting Liverpool. All I can pray for is that this time around, on the end of Liverpool, we get to be...
Liverpool is going into there as a wounded buffalo. They need to prove a point. So obviously, West Ham will be in trouble in that particular match. They need to look out for Liverpool because they're coming wounded. Just like Chelsea, coming from a loss, they're getting into that game to prove a point. And obviously, the coach himself will be betting on the boys to put up a good performance so that we do not kick him this by the end of the season, because you know for a fact that Chelsea we are known for changing coaches. So really, we've maintained this coach.
But Aston Villa is going to be a tight game for you, because Aston Villa has got the eyes on making sure that they maintain the top 4. As it is, according to the standings, Aston Villa is on number 4, meaning that they wouldn't really want to drop those points because of Tottenham, who's got 2 games in hand.
Yes, they wouldn't want to. We're visiting, right?
Yes.
Yes, they wouldn't want to lose. They wouldn't want to lose. But like I said, we're coming in there as wounded buffaloes. And you know you can't mess around with the wounded buffalo. So we're coming to prove a point. Chelsea is coming into that game to prove a point. And not much will change. Not much will change. Yes, we are not in the top 4, meaning that we won't be able to play UEFA next season. However, we are not being relegated, so not much will change. We've got nothing to lose at the end of the day, but we've got a point to prove, and the coach himself has got a point to prove. If at all the club will still be able to maintain him at the end of the season. I think for me, in as much as I'm a Chelsea enthusiast, I'm patriotic to go with Chelsea, sir.
No, we thank you most sincerely, our major stakeholders in the viewers out there. I know Joe said Itumezi Hulu.
Shango.
Yeah, Itumezi Hulu. This is where we have to call it a day.
Now that we are tribal cousins with the Bembas, it's confirmed.
So, this is also one thing that you should know. A tribal cousin to a tribal cousin
is also a cousin.
Is also a cousin. So this means that you're also my tribal cousin.
Fantastic.
You're also my
so this weekend, it's 4 cousins.
We call it a wrap and have an interesting weekend. Until next time, keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel. It has been Nelson Zulu as well as Clavelo Joe Simata, and we call it a wrap. Bye for now.
Next
and
Friday.
Most big shout outs to our big man upstairs in Elijah Shifita for making sure that this transmission is running out very smoothly.
Fantastic.